Celtics down the stretch legs, and Vince Carter's going to join us in a moment. So, you have the Warriors. They're 9-0 at home. You have Jason Tatum. He cannot hit anything last night. Steph was so hot early on.
Well, you couldn't script a better start for Curry or for the Warriors. And he took advantage of some mistakes by the Boston Celtics, walk into a three out of the backcourt. Here, total miscommunication. And this is where the Warriors get you. Those guard screens, two guys go with pull. He ends up with another wide open look. Incredible start to the series for Steph Curry.
Yeah, a record 6 3-pointers in the first quarter. And in the third, they dropped 38 points. There's Curry.
Yeah, and he's so good that this looks easy. I can't even comprehend the difficulty of this shot. That kind of touch from that distance on a finger roll.
Even Andre Iguodala, he's hitting threes.
Yeah, what a luxury to have a former Finals MVP rejoin your team in time for the NBA Finals. He came out and knocked down a couple of shots as well. Everything going the Warriors' way, at least through three.
Yeah, so they lead by 12. They're at home. What do the Celtics do? They come out firing. Jaylen Brown leading the way.
Yeah, remember going into this game, Boston had 7 road wins already in the first 3 rounds. And Jaylen Brown, to me, saved the night for them with this little mini individual run he had at the start of the fourth quarter when Golden State had a double-digit lead. He got cooking, and then it started to set up the role players with these three-point shots.
You saw Derek White midseason pickup there. Al Horford in his first ever NBA Finals. He led scoring, 26 for the Celtics.
Yeah, he had a 30-point game earlier in the postseason doing this exact thing. He's such a tough matchup now because of his ability to step out and spread the floor here, getting on the glass as well. And then one more time to the corner for Marcus Smart, who also had a big fourth quarter.
9 of 12 from three-point range. They were literally beating Golden State at their own game, and they held the Warriors to just 16 points in that final frame.
Yeah, and here it just basically Golden State overextended now because of the three-point line. You get an easy one late. Give the Celtics credit. They were so good late.
And they steal home court. Game 1 comeback win. Here's Ime Udoka.
Yeah, that's kind of who we've been all year. Tough grinders, resilient group that we can always know we can rely on our defense to kind of buckle down when needed. Impressive against a really elite scoring team.
They hit 21 threes, and Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derek White combined for 15 of them.
My gut reaction, just what I just witnessed, was they just came in, played a hell of a fourth quarter, and you got to give them credit. And it's pretty much as simple as that.
Draymond there, he was like, go figure this. I mean, no one saw this coming. The Celtics turning up the heat in the final 12 minutes, outscoring Golden State 40-16. That 24-point margin is tied for the largest of any quarter in an NBA Finals game, as Boston connected on no less than 9 threes, tied for the most in any quarter in Finals history. As Vince Carter is back with us. Legs, what was your reaction when you saw that?
Holy hell, what the hell am I watching right now? I've really never seen anything like that. Not that dramatic of a turnaround on both ends. Like, you can see a team that's down get hot like that to get themselves back in the game, but at the exact same time, to shut off Golden State's water on the other end of the floor, to see that dramatic of a turnaround after a third quarter in which Golden State looked like they had completely established control of the game. And I think what it really points to, and Ime Udoka hit on it with his post-game comments, this team believes, particularly on the road, there is no situation too big for them because their defense will give them time to get back into it because they're going to string together stops. And now it's a matter of, can we make shots during that time? And that's exactly what they put together. And Steve Kerr said, it was a hell of a fourth quarter. Dead wrong. That was a perfect fourth quarter. You cannot play better basketball than the Boston Celtics did for that 12 minutes.
8-2 on the road. The old adage, defense travels, but they were also raining threes, which just made it so stunning, Vince. What did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, it was Jaylen Brown being aggressive early, and from there, the adjustment was to go play a little smaller, put Robert Williams on the bench and allow Al Horford to be the 5, the stretch 5, to open the floor up a little bit to allow him to get downhill, because now you see Horford's ability to shoot the 3. It opens the floor up. Now the bigs who are helping, you have to account for his ability to shoot the ball, because Golden State does a great job with Draymond and Looney of helping. And you can see there, Draymond was a little hesitant. It's just Al Horford. Well, Al Horford is shooting at a high clip, and once he got rolling, he was rolling, and he was hotter than fish grease. But the thing about it is the ball movement and the floor open. Brown getting downhill, either a layup or making the right play. And even Jason Tatum, like you said, Hannah, did not shoot the ball well, but he made the right plays and got the ball to the guys who were hot and knocking down shots.
And we always focus on Jason Tatum, but Jaylen Brown, 10 points and 5 assists. Horford said afterwards they saw him and what he was doing, and everybody else keyed on that.
Yeah, through the first 3 quarters, I made a comment last night. I said, man, Boston's in serious trouble if the top 2 offensive players are going to come from the Golden State Warriors. And at that time, it was Curry and Wiggins were the 2 best offensive players in the game. So you say which one of these 2 stars was going to finally get it going, and it was Jaylen Brown. And look, this is a guy that's got an electric dribble, right? And he's got so much athletic ability. If he gets certain matchups that he likes and he can get to that middle area of the floor and just elevate and starts making mid-range shots, now you've got a problem. And I just thought that his run was so critical to this team because think about it. If he struggles during that stretch and Tatum still hasn't gotten going to that point, you still have a 10, 12-point deficit with 6 minutes to go. Golden State's going to win that game. So Jaylen Brown closed the gap. And then the role players closed the deal. I mean, that's really how that fourth quarter played out. Give him all the credit in the world for stepping up when they had to have one of those 2 guys get hot.
Vince?
Well, I agree. And I think, we have to give Jaylen Brown some credit. He understands who he is and how he fits on this team. Yes, we talk about Jason Tatum, and we don't talk about Jaylen Brown all the time. And we don't talk about his ability, obviously, to make plays for others. I mean, yes, sometimes Jason Tatum and Brown get caught into being overly aggressive or just the decision-making as far as turning the ball over. Because when they turn the ball over, Boston Celtics historically don't win. But this last night, he was making the right plays as well as being aggressive, getting into the paint. And he is the 1B to this team. He is very capable. Like you said, Legs, he could take over a game like Jason Tatum, but we always see or talk about Jason Tatum's ability to take over only, and he was great for their team, and they responded to him being the aggressor and not just Jason Tatum.
The Celtics keep those 2 guys together despite a lot of people chirping that maybe they shouldn't have. And they also bring aboard Horford. They bring him back. They bring in White. All of those players were so huge last night down the stretch. But let's talk about Steph Curry. So we had those historic 6 3-pointers scoring 21 points in the first quarter, highest scoring finals quarter since MJ back in '93. But then he really cooled off after that, just 5 of 10 from the field against Marcus Smart, just 2 of 6 after the first quarter. He had actually taken more shots, 16, than he had points, 13. So what happened with Steph?
Well, first of all, they've corrected the miscommunications they had early in the game. I mean, they gave him some wide open looks at the start that clearly he's a guy you target, and they just did not execute in the first 6 minutes. And now you've got this guy, and he's cooking and feeling it. So that lasted for a quarter. After that, the adjustments, and particularly at halftime, they got further extended. They didn't make those mistakes anymore on the switches. Horford and Williams were up much higher on ball screens. They got into him, I think, physically. The game's going to allow that in the final. So I thought, you get Marcus Smart on you for an extended period of time into your hip when you're handling the ball. It's going to drain your legs. And I think Steph Curry ran out of gas a little bit there late. And also, he's used to somebody else getting hot to make it easier for him, and it just never really happened. I mean, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole in particular, never really got going in this game, so it was all on Steph. He felt it, he knew it. Now he's pressing a little bit late in the game while they're giving up threes every possession on the other end. All of that just snowballed really against him. I think he's more who he was in the first quarter than who he was the last 3 quarters. At least they better hope so going forward in this series.
Yeah, but we've seen this Celtics team shut down superstar after superstar in these playoffs. What were they doing defensively against Steph?
Well, what they were doing, first of all, he got in foul trouble. I think he got out of rhythm in the second quarter moving on. But they made him have to guard multiple actions, second efforts. Yes, he didn't want to switch on some of the guys. So they put him in pick and roll. Yes, he's going to show and try to get back to his man. Now, when he shows, they're actually throwing to that guy, making him have to defend that action as well. Then he goes on the other end and he gets beat up a little bit by Marcus Smart. If he's on Jaylen Brown like you see there, Jaylen Brown takes him to the post, beat him up a little bit just to get into those legs, because you have to take advantage of every opportunity when you're talking about Steph Curry because of his ability to dominate the game with the 3-point shot like we saw in the first quarter.
I mean, so Steph scores 34 in the end. Jason Tatum only 12, and Boston's supporting cast outscored Golden State's by 34 points. So who really needs to step up? If Steph is struggling, who needs to be that number two?
It's Clay and Poole. I'd put more emphasis on Poole from this standpoint. He can do a little bit more in transition with his dribble and just in general being aggressive. He just looked uncomfortable. He looked uncomfortable the entire night.
You think because it was his first finals game?
I think so. He's a young player, first final stage. And I think the other thing, maybe that was a little bit distracting to him, honestly, was the start that Steph Curry had. Because now you're like, okay, it's going to be Steph Curry here for a while, whereas Jordan Poole is typically used to, as soon as he gets in the game, the ball's in his hands, he's like, go time. Well, now you got this guy that was hot. Maybe that also had his foot off the gas pedal, but once he did think about trying to get aggressive, Marcus Smart deflected the ball from him a couple times. He got into him out on the floor. He was giving it up too easily. He's going to look at himself in that film, and he's not going to recognize the guy he saw all year. I think he's going to challenge himself. He'll be better in game two.
Is that what you saw?
I'm going to say yes. I agree with you, Legs. I'm going to say Clay and Poole, but I'm going to say Clay first because he's been in this moment before and he understands, it doesn't rattle him. It's just getting himself going. And I think that would ease and make things a little easier on Poole to be the other scorer. I think if Clay is aggressive, now Poole can go out there. But if we're like, okay, Clay's not aggressive, Poole, you got to go while he's trying to kind of soak in the moment. And let me be clear. I think Poole will be better now that he got game one out of the way, and you'll see